When I was a kid, the two sports that I watched the most were the NFL and basketball, the NFL and NBA. And I liked the NFL because I was a little kid, and it was masculine. It was tough. My parents got me a Cleveland Brown uniform, I kid you not, and I'd go in the yard with neighborhood kids. We'd bang around. You put on the helmet, you wrestle and bang. I love football. Football was tough. It's fun to play with the neighborhood guys. You tackle guys. You're like 9 years old, 8 years old, 7 years old. You tackle guys. You had the pads on and the shoulder pads, and it made that sound when you were a little kid. I love NFL because football was tough. And then I love the NBA, especially I was 12, 13, 14, because the NBA was cool. Players were cool. Uniforms were cool. Dunks were cool. They had nicknames like Downtown Freddie Brown. I love the NFL because the NFL was fun and tough and masculine and rough. And I love the NBA because the NBA was cool, man. The arenas were cool. The Forum. Rose Garden. I mean, it was cool. Baseball was fun as a kid in Little League, but as I got older, it wasn't cool. It was kind of geeky. It was all about stats, VORP, WAR, WHIP, lips. I'm not kidding. It's gotten worse over the years. But you know what's happened with the NBA, with all these analytics? A lot of NBA media and NBA fans have become baseball geeks. Triple-double. Triple-double. Oh, God. Triple-double. Stats, analytics. Oh, God. Last night, James Harden got a triple-double, 60 points. Listen to the Rockets announcer on this. My head hurts. Listen to the very last sentence, please. My head hurts.
Zonia puts it up. And Harden gets a triple-double. 60 points, 11 assists, and 10 rebounds. What a night for James Harden. Boy, what an MVP performance tonight. Boy, what a game. I've been around this game. I've called games for Moses Malone, for Hakeem Olajuwon, for Clyde Drexler, and I have never seen a game like this.
Well, you broadcast for Hakeem Olajuwon, who was not only one of the all-time great players, who Shaq acknowledges, I couldn't stop. And that's it, because the last rebound he got with 4 seconds left. So let me get this straight. On a January night in an 82-game schedule against the worst team in the league, Orlando, who was missing their best player, with Chris Paul out, meaning you got every shot, and a coach, Mike D'Antoni, that elevates every single guard he's ever had. That triple-double was greater than anything Hakeem did. Breaking news, the Houston Rockets TV announcers were high last night on the air.
Oh, no.
Breaking news.
Okay. God, I know we live in the moment. I get it. I totally understand it. That was Orlando. Chris Paul was out. Mike D'Antoni is so guard-friendly that he made Jeremy Lin the talk of the NBA when he was in New York. Steve Nash, a guy I love, works out at my gym. Name drop. In Kobe's prime, in Shaq's prime, in Tim Duncan's prime, Mike D'Antoni made Steve Nash the MVP of the league. In an era where the triple-double has gone from 18 back in 2011 to 117 last year and on pace to break it this year, in a league there's no hand check, Chris Paul never played, 60 points, triple-doubles, the greatest thing you've ever seen. Let me give you another number for James Harden. Because this morning, all the guys that used to be cool that covered the NBA and love the NBA become baseball nerds. 39. How's that number? That's how many points James Harden lost to the Spurs at home last year in the final playoff game. Here's another number, 2. The Spurs were missing their 2 best players, Kawhi and Tony Parker. Here's another number, 11. That's all the shots Harden took because he quit. And oh, by the way, you know how baseball has WAR and VORP? I'll give you something. It's called TMZ. An hour after the game, TMZ spotted Harden at a nightclub. Yeah, that loss, it cut deep. James Harden's a hell of a basketball player, and I'm happy for him. I really am. I'd love to have him on my team. He'll probably win the NBA's MVP, but you think last night's the night. By the way, Golden State lost by 30 last night to the Utah Jazz. Should I declare this morning the Warriors are in a free fall? It's January. It's a night. Chris Paul didn't play. It's the worst team in the league. You're at home. The league now allows basically no hand checking. Guards are setting records weekly. Production, consumption, triple doubles. The NBA was always cool, man. The arenas were cool. The nicknames were cool. The dunks were cool. The games were cool. The players were cool. They had nicknames and swag. And now we've reduced it to triple-double, triple-double. That's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's a triple-double. Good God, what happened? I mean, think about this. Just think about this. Triple-doubles are up like 400%. Yeah, you like produce? How you like them apples?
Oh, gosh.
Okay. Akeem Olajuwon is one of the greatest players in league history who completely dominated Shaq. I've been at some of those games. And that's it. The triple-double. I mean, never forget that we celebrated NBA when you didn't have to be a three-point shooter to be great. They had a 30 for 30. Remember that one with Spike Lee on the Knicks and the Pacers? Remember that 30 for 30? That's an all-time great one. Remember what the score of those games were? I'll read them to you. 88-68, 83-77, 95-86, 94-90, 89-78. 28 NBA teams now average over 100 points a game. Scores in games regularly are 128, 123. In the 80s, that was the All-Star game. The All-Star game now, 194, 188. Listen, Harden's great. But to say that locks in the MVP is like saying the Warriors losing by 31 to the Jazz last night has impact. None. And Harden, as great as he is, could never touch Akeem Olajuwon. James Harden to me is a scorer. I wasn't blown away by last night. Were you?
Well, look, it was an incredible offensive performance. It's the first ever triple-double in which a guy scored 60 points in. But these are stats on steroids. And the steroids are not just because of D'Antoni's system, but because the overall ball dominance, the fact that he makes every play. We saw in the college game, Trae Young last night, he only took, 18 shots or so, but getting to the free throw line, dominating the basketball. I think he had 44 for Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And you try and compare it statistically with other eras. You cannot because they dominate the ball so much. Look, it's a great night for James Harden. He might well be the MVP. He probably should have been the MVP 3 years ago. But at the end of the day, no one thinks D'Antoni's going to make his team guard in the playoffs. James Harden might be his team's best player, but he doesn't play any defense. And all it is confirmation bias that what we saw in Game 6 was a player quitting on his team. If this is what he's capable, then last year against the San Antonio Spurs should be doubly embarrassing as opposed to how embarrassing it was at the time.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.